Hi, this is Zach with Worn & Wound. Today I'll be taking a look at the CT Scuderia City Racer. This is an interesting watch by a fairly new brand that we first saw at Baselworld 2013. We thought that they really stood out from the crowd with their kind of very aggressive and interesting bullhead designs. So we're really excited to take a look at one. They have a few different models and they come in quartz versions, automatic 3-hand, but here we have an automatic chronograph. This features a Val Swiss movement. It's a fairly new player to the movement game, and we've yet to see one before, so it's cool to see it here. This watch comes in at $3,095, which makes it fairly expensive, and I think has some stiff competition in that price spectrum. But clearly offers a very interesting and unique design. So let's take a closer look now. Perhaps the most interesting thing about the CT Scuderia line is their signature case design. All of their watches, as I said before, are bullheads, and bullhead being a watch with a crown and pushers are above 12. And the whole idea behind a bullhead is that it can be used as a stopwatch very easily. So, you drop the strap back and then you have quick access with your thumbs to the pushers here. What they did with the watch to really emphasize that was create kind of a multi-part case. So you have this central area and then bolted on lugs. And what that does is really makes the center feel like a stopwatch that was then converted into a watch. I think, and that really just very clearly gets across the bullhead function and the bullhead idea and is a very unique look. The case itself is fairly large. It measures 44 millimeters in diameter, 52 millimeters lug to lug, and 14.4 millimeters thick. So obviously it's a large, aggressive sport watch, but having the crown at 12 minimizes, I think, the feeling on the wrist. The case is then very interestingly designed. It has a lot of really nice little details to it. So this central area is kind of a puck shape with a really nice rounded radius along the side there. Has very nice tolerances where all the pieces come together, just really well executed. And then you have the bolted on lugs on top and bottom here. And as you can see from underneath, there's a lot of different little hex screws there, which I believe are both aesthetic and functional because this is a separate part. And you can see now how the lugs then, on the bottom are full lugs, kind of teardrop shaped, but on the top have been scalloped away to give you more access then to the chrono pushers, which is just a very nice detail. They're very unique and clearly just separate pieces. This also allows them to actually do different finishing on some of their models, so the lugs and the central case will be a little bit different. Flipping the watch over now, you can see the case back. It's a very interesting display design. So you have Italian colors, and then inside you have this Val Swiss automatic movement, which is a bit decorated. And we'll show you that more closely in a minute. The overall design, very, very sporty, very aggressive, definitely gets across this stopwatch feel. One thing I really like is the crown here. It's 10 millimeters in diameter, so it's very large, but it's also very flat, and it's screwed down, so it's really quite secure in there. Just very nice design, very well executed. One thing that is a bit strange, though, if you look at the side of the watch, you have these kind of hex head details on the lugs. Unfortunately, the spring bar doesn't actually match up with the center of that, so it is a bit of like a false detail. I just kind of wish that had actually been where the pivot point of the strap. The dial of the City Racer has a very aggressive and sort of automotive speedometer look to it. So on this outer edge here, you have this kind of checkered flag index, very racing inspired. I have seen that actually on some watches from the 60s and 70s too. It's an interesting look. It's very loud. It's a bit noisy. Sometimes it's a bit hard to see exactly where the minute is, but it is essentially the lines between the little checkered flags. And then moving in from that, you have this large numeral index that consists clearly of just the minutes, very, very large numbers. It's a bit crowded, perhaps for my taste. It's particularly at 55. I feel like the 5 there is just getting very, very close to the 6. But, I feel like you can look past that because it just has this very in-your-face, aggressive, and fairly fun design. You have 3 sub-registers here for the chronograph. You have a 12-hour totalizer, 30-minute totalizer, and then the active seconds hand. They're very simple. The hours here, as you can see, has a 12, 3, 6, 9 index with small dots for in the individual hours, and then the 30-minute totalizer has small lines, so they're pretty easy to distinguish from each other. Then the active seconds is just these little dashes. They all have these little kind of applied silver rings to distinguish them, which is a nice little detail, adds a little bit of texture to the dial as well. Above 6, you have a little bit of text here. It says CT014 and then Automatico in red, and then a little checkered flag there, obviously further emphasizing kind of the racing-inspired look. And then I'll start the chronograph, as you can see, but just below 60, you have the CT Scuderia logo and the word Scuderia in Italia. Overall, I mean, it's a very nice dial, a little bit crowded, but I think, it's really meant to be bold, and, they offer many different dial options, so, that's just the aesthetic of this one, is really, in your face and aggressive. The hands of the watch, then, you have these two large Roman sword hands. I think they work very nicely. They're very bold. They stand out from the dial. Clearly you need something that stands out because of the amount of noise. The two stick hands for the chrono registers then are red, which is a nice just little subtle detail. And the second totalizer for the chronograph is just a simple stick seconds. The CT Scuderia City Racer features a Val Swiss automatic chronograph movement. As I said before, this is the first time we've seen this movement from the brand, or really the brand at all. It appears to be very, very similar to a Valjoux 7750 in both specs and function. So it's a 40-hour power reserve with 27 joules and a frequency of 28,800 beats per hour. Also has hacking seconds, and I believe it has at least a date function, though it's not implemented in this watch here. So basically, very, very similar stats, although this has 27 joules, and a Valjoux 7750 has 25. But the movement itself, as you can see here, is quite nice looking. It has this, it's been decorated in some interesting ways. So you have this black PVD rotor with perlage on it, and underneath that you have a black plate with Côte de Genève. And around, within the movement, you have blued screws. And then, all chronographs tend to be very enjoyable to look at because they're much more complicated than a standard three-hand movement. And when you start it, you can see as various levers, move around and kick into place. So, I'm really glad that they showed it off here and added a little bit of decoration. Obviously, on a watch this price, you expect at least this much decoration. On the wrist, the City Racer is a really very cool watch. And I think the proportions and the sizing of the case really makes sense when strapped on. I don't usually wear watches that are this size, 44 millimeters. It's just large for me, but I feel like the design here actually makes it very wearable. It is clearly quite large, but I don't think oversized really, and largely I think that is partially due to the crown being at 12, but then also the shapes of the lugs. They are very close to the case, so there's just nothing really overhanging. Also, the roundness of the sides I think just makes it look a little bit smaller, as frankly does the black PVD. The watch itself then, extremely bold, very aggressive, sporty. It's exactly, I think, what it's supposed to look like. It's a piece of racing equipment that's strapped to your wrist, and it definitely feels like that. The multi-part case really makes this look like an instrument rather than just a timepiece, and I really like that. I think this is definitely a watch that'll appeal to gearheads and motorcycle people, things like that. Aesthetically, I think the black and brown mix is really nice here. A lot of watches when they're black, they might feel like they're trying to be tactical or stealthy, but I feel like here it just works a little bit more. It just integrates with the design perhaps a little bit better. It just makes sense, plain and simple. The strap here is this brown leather strap. This watch has exceptionally wide lugs. They're 26 millimeters, so you're probably going to have to use CT Scuderia brand straps with it, or perhaps Panerai style straps, but it is very wide here, but then the strap tapers very quickly down, so it doesn't feel like way too much material on the wrist. It's a nicely made strap, very simple, brown leather, black edging, white stitching, just very clean, very well made. Has this pre-V buckle with the Scuderia logo. I think they maybe could have done a little bit more with the buckle to tie it into the case design, because this is a pretty standard style. That said, it doesn't look bad with it, so it does make sense. I just want to quickly take it off so I can show you the lining of it, because they add some, make it a little bit fun underneath. So yeah, it's a has this bright red lining, which I think is fun. Definitely makes it a little bit more luxurious, and kind of tie in again to automotive equipment. And it also has quick spring bar release, which is nice. So you just pop that off. Really simple and easy to change straps on this. Just for the sake of comparison, we also have this Master Time model that features a stainless steel case and polish and brush and a metal bracelet. And this one comes in at $3,300. They do some different things here that I think shows you kind of the versatility of the case design, as well as what they're looking to achieve with this watch. So clearly, it's a much more kind of old-fashioned, kind of antique dial design with sans serif fonts and pointed hands, and then the case itself accentuates the bullhead concept even further by having an extended start-stop button, as well as this ring here. What this ring is for is if you were to pop the lugs off, you could tie a lanyard on this and then sort of just use the watch as a stopwatch. So I kind of really like that they would do that they would push it that far. But yeah, so just to show you if this kind of very aggressive sporty style doesn't quite work, there are fancier, more I'd say delicate and perhaps elegant model designs that they offer as well. To wrap up, the CT Scuderia City Racer is a very fun, cool watch with a unique case design that I think is a really, really successful one. It's available in all of the CT Scuderia watches, and I think they really did a good job of creating a watch that tells sort of the whole idea behind a bullhead chronograph just through design itself. By having a multi-part case that has an emphasis on this separate part in the center, you can kind of just immediately understand it as sort of a watch you could take off your wrist and use as a stopwatch. And that's, the most simplest terms what, a bullhead chronograph is really for. So I think, with this watch, what it comes down to is really, is it worth the $3,095? For me personally, I find that to be a bit of a stretch price, but I think where it exceeds is in having this very unique aesthetic is really what's going to make it, speak to you. So if you're looking for an automatic chronograph with a bullhead design by a new company, not a vintage one, I think that this is, an excellent choice for you. And obviously it comes in many different variations, so there isn't just the City Racer. Please read the full review on Worn and Wound. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, and Twitter. Thank you.